I wish I could go back and experience this all again for the very first time. The year is 2008, and my 11-year-old self is witnessing my older cousin taking back Germany from the Third Reich. After narrowly escaping death, your final act as a member of the Soviet army is to plant your flag where theirs stood, stumbling your way towards your destiny, carrying the weight of thousands of fallen soldiers. The pulse strikes down like a bolt of lightning.
As long as you live, the heart of this army can never be broken.
The tone is overwhelmingly hopeful in an otherwise dreadful game. What follows is a newsreel recapping the final days of the war following Germany's surrender. Any other video game would make you feel like a hero at this point, but not World at War. The speech at the end only confirms what most of us already knew. No amount of bloodshed will ever satisfy the hunger of powerful, evil men. The credits begin to roll as you reflect on the real-life ramifications of the Second World War, and then something truly horrifying happens. Suddenly, you find yourself barricaded in a familiar concrete building, and out in the foggy distance, you spot a silhouette stumbling towards you. As they get closer, the existential threat washes over you, and the objective becomes clear: survive. This was everyone's introduction to Nazi zombies, an extra game mode not advertised anywhere, purposefully kept a secret to scare unsuspecting players. The premise is simple: fight off endless waves of the undead with a variety of weapons and power-ups. The points you'd amass from the carnage could be spent on unlocking new areas of the map, as well as trying your luck at the mystery box. Each round, the undead army grows stronger, and your weapons weaker. The only guarantee here is death, and how long you can escape it before becoming overwhelmed. The mode's popularity was a slow burn at first, considering the campaign needed to be completed prior to unlocking it. But once word spread, it overshadowed all other discussions, both online and off. Anyone outside of the loop must have thought Nazi zombies was a cheap attempt at creating an urban legend rather than a legitimate feature in a Call of Duty title. As it turned out, the higher-ups at Treyarch felt the exact same way.
One part of the game that literally only exists because of our fans is our zombies.
Yeah.
It was a passion project inside the studio that totally should never have, in any sort of like, I probably shouldn't even be here as a studio head because I let this thing happen at a time when the development was strained and the team was, in a difficult place trying to release a historically authentic cinematic World War II game. And then you hear, have you heard they threw a zombie in there? It's a Nazi zombie.
I'm afraid this spontaneity is rarely seen in the AAA space as of late. Even back when the mode was hesitantly greenlit, very few resources were allocated for it, hence the reuse of several elements from the base game, including the map, character models, and weapons. Despite the shoestring budget, the developers understood what all great horror filmmakers did too.
And so it all feeds to this thing that with horror, the scariest thing that you can put an audience through is allow their imagination to go crazy.
Nacht Untoten is a claustrophobic map with very few areas to explore, but it more than made up for it in ambiance alone. The animalistic shrieks from the undead overpower the rattling shots from your starting pistol. It sounds a lot like you're firing BBs, rather than bullets, further emphasizing its futility against the ongoing threat. You can't help but feel this lingering sense of dread whenever you start up a game. Because of the mode's inherent limitations, the community took it upon themselves to seek out meaning and uncover secrets where there were none intended.
The story for zombies didn't always exist. There was not this comprehensive and forethought put into what this story was going to be from start to finish. But the community started to pick up on little hints of things in the game, and there were some intentional Easter eggs that were put around, but there were also some ones that we didn't actually place that the fans started to have these conspiracy theories around. Just what does that mean?
There was one example which was a texture that was warped. Just warped at the corner, right? And they found it, they came in on it, and it was like finding a deity on your toast,
I can recall several schoolyard conversations between my friends and I discussing our wild theories, because that's the type of game Zombies was. When the novelty of the first map wore off, players began to uncover exploits that made them invincible, bypassing any real challenge and tension. Treyarch knew their follow-up needed to not only subvert expectations, but advance the formula into new territories.
Where the hell did they come from?
No one at Treyarch anticipated the mode to be a massive hit, so the news came as a surprise when they were greenlit to create more. They were given less than 4 months to plan and execute their vision to coincide with the release of the first DLC pack. The result was Verruckt.
Shit! No power!
Based on a real-life asylum that was once occupied by the Nazi Party, it was there where they performed some of their most heinous acts against those who had mental handicaps, physical disabilities, and other traits deemed undesirable by the state. The history alone made this one of the most unsettling maps. When designing Verruckt, the developers wanted to upset the patterns that players had grown accustomed to. The mystery box was no longer stationary, parts of the map were inaccessible without power, and the zombie AI was far more aggressive. These additions forced players to change plans at a moment's notice, keeping the gameplay from becoming stale. In multiplayer, you'd spawn on opposite sides of the map, motivating both parties to fight their way to restore power in order to reunite. Turning on the power also gave you access to various perk machines, granting players a conditional power-up that can aid in later rounds when the asylum becomes overrun. These seemingly simple changes added progression as a motivating factor, which kept players more engaged and encouraged strategization. Inspired by fan speculation, this map included various Easter eggs which would become a staple of the series going forward. Cryptic messages written on the walls littered the sanatorium, hinting at a greater story. And although I won't be recapping any of the lore here, suffice to say the community ate it up. Despite this map being yet another reskin from the campaign, Verruckt proved that Zombies had more to offer than just scares. If there was any indication that Zombies had overtaken the online multiplayer in popularity, it was the trailer for the second wave of DLC. 3/4 of the total runtime were dedicated to revealing the third Zombies map, Shi No Numa. Taking place in a deep Japanese swamp, the map was a welcome change of pace from the claustrophobic corridors of the first two maps. The change of setting would mean the undead army would be comprised of Japanese soldiers, who, like their Nazi counterparts, would carry over certain mannerisms into their afterlife. Brand new features included the Flogger, the Wunderwaffe DG2, and a special round for Hellhounds to break up the pace, rewarding players with maximum ammo. Oh, and a zipline! Whee! Aw, fuck. The standout addition this time around is the introduction of 4 brand new playable characters. Each character's personality was an exaggerated persona of their country of origin, which made for some amusing banter.
Headshot! Too bad we ain't keeping score!
These 4 soldiers would stick around for future installments and influence the tone going forward. As much as I enjoyed their dynamic back then, I feel now their presence diminished the eerie atmosphere that initially attracted players to the mode.
The same weapon I used to kill my first wife. She was bitch.
Their quippy action movie one-liners and fourth wall breaking commentary were novel back in 2009, but now I think they take away something far more valuable than they add.
Touch me.
I want to preface this next statement by saying the voice actors are a talented group that clearly share a mutual appreciation for the mode and its fans. But considering where Zombies started and where it's at now, I don't think adding exaggerated personalities was the right call. Shi No Numa's contribution to the Zombies formula was giving players the freedom of choice. You may start in the same central location every time, but from there the map expands into 4 different branches. Each corner housed a perk machine that would randomly spawn in. This made each game unique, according to which perk machine you'd have access to from the start. I have the fondest memories playing this map with my younger cousin. We waited well over 2 hours for the DLC to download, but nothing could prepare us for what would come next.
Just happened. Everyone okay? Oh, I feel like I will throw up.
A mere side effect, Russia. Everything is normal.
The third and final map would be Riese, arguably the most fleshed out Zombies experience yet. It included all of the best elements from previous maps and debuted the Pack-a-Punch machine. This allowed any gun to be upgraded, and the results were extremely satisfying.
I'm making some freak meat stew. Who wants some?
This encouraged players to experiment with weapons outside of their wheelhouse, meaning firearms as useless as the starting pistol could receive lethal upgrades that made them virtually indispensable. Bringing the fight back to Germany in the laboratory where the zombies originated, this map gave fans all the lore answers they could have wanted, and then some. I remember experiencing this map as it rolled out, trying to uncover all of its secrets alongside other players online via voice chat.
Do you guys want to play Uno after this?
I don't have Uno. Everyone has Uno, dipshit.
It was an exciting community to be a part of. It felt like there was a genuine connection between developer and fan that didn't exist anywhere else in the console space. In the span of 8 months, a large and devoted fan base was formed from a mode that had no good reason to exist, for the following reasons. It was terribly late in development, developers were already crunching for time, and it didn't make sense to include an outlandish premise in a relatively grounded title. Against all odds, the mode made it in, and continues to be a large draw for each installment. It's important to remember, it was originally greenlit not because it showed potential for monetization. It was greenlit because it was fun. Call of Duty has gone on to represent everything that is wrong in the video game industry, and my intentions certainly aren't to dispute that. I just wanted to revisit a moment in time where surprises like these were possible. I stopped playing Call of Duty after the release of Black Ops 2, and depending on who you ask, I left right around the time things started to go downhill for the series, and especially for the Zombies mode. It's no secret that the story was written as each map rolled out, and in later installments that was made abundantly clear. What we have here is a unique mode that could have only been made during the 7th console generation, where budgets and technology were relatively manageable compared to where AAA titles are today. If you want further proof, look no further than the remakes done on Black Ops 3. Part of what made the original 4 maps so special was the literal and figurative fog shrouding the mode in mystery. That's what inspired players to seek out meaning where there was none. I don't doubt that there are many talented developers and artists working on the Zombies mode currently. I'm willing to bet a lot of the newer hires grew up on World at War, but Call of Duty has simply gotten too big to let organic ideas like these survive, and that's truly scary. Happy Halloween, you filthy animals.
This Halloween night,
I'm coming to get you, Barbara.
zombies have never looked better. Night of the Living Dead.
Help me! Oh, help me!
Remastered and restored. All night long on Halloween. Hosted by the master of zombie horror, George Romero.
We actually use innards from a meat packing house.
The killers are eating the flesh.
Night of the Living Dead. All Halloween night. Only on AMC.